Pursuant to Governor Healy's March 28, 2025 revised order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL Chapter 30A, Section 18, extending remote participation through June 30th, 2027, meetings of the Berkshire Hills Regional School District School Committee will be conducted both in person and remote. Agenda items listed are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed. Items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. This meeting is being recorded by CTSB, School Committee Recorder, and the Berkshire Edge. Once transcribed and approved, minutes will be made public and posted to our website. So just an announcement, under new business, we had added a requested approval for girls JV soccer waiver. We will not do that tonight. We will wait till our next meeting to do that. So let's start with a roll call vote since we have at least one member online. Sarah Tonetti?
Here.
Allison?
Here.
Jason?
Here.
Andy Potter's not here. Bill Vogt?
Here.
Bill Fields?
Here.
Diane Singer? I don't think she's online either. Let me just make sure. Diane, just raise your hand. That may be you in 2-5. Diane, just unmute yourself. I think that's your number.
Yes, I'm here. Thanks, Steve.
Perfect. Sarah, I don't see. Sarah Berla. Rich Mahoney is not here, and I am present. Did I call him wrong? I made it first. Okay, we have the minutes of July 24th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
So move to approve.
So I have a motion by Bill Fields, a second by Bill Vogt. Any discussion? Roll call vote. Sarah Janetti,
Aye.
Allison,
Yes.
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Bill,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes,
and I. It's unanimous. Principals updates. Let's start with the high school. Christopher.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Just have a short, good news and challenges today. I said this last time, but I'd like to say it again. Steve Sewell and Matt McDermott's team are doing a great job of cleaning and organizing the school. We have also welcomed a new lead at the high school to work jointly with Matt until his retirement. It's John Rista, and we're super happy to have him. They work hard all year, we know that, but the summer has its own set of tasks, a lot of work, and they're working hard, and we just want them to know that we absolutely recognize all that they're doing, all that they're doing, and we appreciate their hard work. We had a very productive and affirming admin retreat on Monday and Tuesday of this week here in this room. The time we spent together was both enjoyable and constructive, and we thank Peter Dillon and his leadership for this planning time. I think we all felt the same on that. Colin Shebar, Pete Lergio, and Nelson Hernandez and I spent the morning at the Berk 12 Portrait Graduate Collaborative meeting kickoff for the school year. This was also time well spent and will set us up for successful work with Portrait Graduate Conferences at Monument Mountain. So other than that, it's summer. We're moving forward, and time is short. Challenges. Small. We've gotten a lot of our hiring done, all of our teachers. But we still don't have an administrative assistant for the front office to work with Doreen. We've interviewed and offered the job to 4 different candidates who have not accepted the position. As I said, it's been challenging, but we remain confident that we'll find someone soon. And then the other thing is just time. We're running out of it, and we could use more time to accomplish all that needs to be done. And we were hoping that you would vote to delay the beginning of the school year. Yeah. They're not taking me seriously, so I guess that's not. Do I hear a motion? Well, you know, the community would come after you if you did, right? That's all I have. Any questions or comments?
If we did that, Peter would never miss another meeting.
Thank you.
Or if we go to double shifts.
I was thinking, if you wanna fill up this room,
Yes.
tell the middle school parents, just 2 more weeks. Good evening, everybody. I hope you're all well. I would echo a lot of exactly what Christopher said. The buildings are amazing. Our teams just do incredible work, and the district maintenance team Just a lot of good things happening in Du Bois, and I'm sure all around the district this summer. We're grateful for that. We're also grateful for the administrative retreat. Peter, for the last 2 years, and maybe before that, has brought in a facilitator named Josh Thomases, who is just excellent. We had a really good 2 days together. We learned a lot about one another, and I think as the three principals, we're all entering our second year together, just a lot more confident and comfortable moving forward, and grateful to Peter for giving us that time together, and to Josh for facilitating those 2 days. As of about a week ago today, all of our teaching positions are filled. We had a retirement in mid-July that didn't completely take us by surprise, but that left us scrambling a little bit for a 5th grade science position. And we had some wonderful applicants, and just filled that job last week, and we're really excited to welcome that teacher on board. We're also looking forward, a week from today, we'll be welcoming our 5th graders and any families and students that are new to Du Bois for a new to Du Bois open house, and that'll be a lot of fun. And probably it's a 2-hour event. Probably an hour and 15 minutes of it is practicing lockers. So getting over that anxiety. And I've taken several kids through on tours this summer who can't make that event. This group is pretty good. So far, they're pretty good with lockers, so we're gonna stay optimistic about that. And some other good news, we made a connection, and we're grateful to the Du Bois Freedom Center for reaching out to us to see if we couldn't sort of go back to the future and start working together again, the Freedom Center and the namesake school, and do some programming for our kids. And Steve, thank you for the outreach from the Great Barrington Historical Society. Those are just such organic ways to get our kids engaged in their own community and to understand the richness of the not only the present and the culture that our community has to offer, but the rich history that they're a part of by being residents of our 3 towns. So we're excited about that. Challenges, we're still looking for 3 paraprofessionals for the upcoming school year. They're all attached to specialized programming, and we will be able to start the year and be okay without those positions. We're gonna continue pounding the pavement to get those people that can support and help some of our students that really need it. And sitting here with a middle school father on this side, and the middle school grandmother on this side, in case you're wondering where our mailing is, that usually gets home the first week of August. It will be getting home about 3 days before school starts. We are still making our schedule work in ways that actually work for kids. Has been a real challenge this summer, so we sent out a message through Parent Square to ask for some forgiveness as we try to get this right. What we don't want to do is send out information that we're gonna have to be backtracking and correcting for the first 2 weeks of school. So we thank everybody for their patience and are trying to think of some ways next year to be a little more ahead of this as we enter into the summer. So, thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Really
you're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
Can I say something? Jake, at the last meeting, you made a wonderful statement. And it was brought to my attention by a person who looks at our meetings, that the school committee didn't say anything in regard to your marvelous statement about support for public schools. My own view is that what you said was so well done and so well presented that it didn't need the approval of all of us. And we're all on this for the reasons that you stated. So I'd just like publicly to thank you for what you said. It made the front page of the newsletter, the Great Barrington newsletter. And Eileen called me and she said there was kind of a lack of comment from the school committee. And I said to her, because it was so well said, I didn't need any comment. And I thought I would just reiterate to you what a marvelous statement was. And it was well needed at the time, and it still is, and it reverberates with me. many times,
Thank you,
okay?
thank you.
Absolutely.
Good.
There are no grant approvals or donations. We'll go right into the attendance focus and shift.
I'm back.
You're back.
Trying to come up with a marvelous statement so I can make fun of the people too. I don't have anything well prepared right now. So, I noticed on the agenda that, the attendance focus and shift was listed separate from the, handbook updates. Although it is part of the handbook updates, but because it's, an important item, I guess that's why it was put on there like that. So I also have a handbook updates and glad to let Jake go in between or however we'll do it. So, unfortunately, I wasn't able to connect and display. And there's more than a little, verbiage here, so I'll just try to be methodical and we'll make our way through this. All right.
That's fine.
Okay, so I just wanted to start out with a little bit of Massachusetts law about attendance. So Massachusetts state law defines chronic absenteeism as absences in excess of 18 excused or unexcused days in a school year. Any combination. The chronic absenteeism rate at Monument for the 2024 school year was 30%, just over that actually. So when you think of that, almost 1/3 of our students were absent 18 days or at least 10% of the time. It's really high. That we don't, Desi hasn't published the 2025 numbers yet. Our handbook has always stated and continues to state, and we believe this, that the learning experience that takes place in the classroom environment is meaningful and an essential part of the classroom structure. Time lost from class in terms of opportunities for interaction among students and teachers is irretrievable. The habits and skills which are developed through regular attendance are crucial components to success in school and beyond. And to me, that last statement really says it all. So in absence, as per our policy, as per DESI, from school is defined as any day that a student is not in school, not in class, and not participating in school sponsored programming. School excused absences. Well, there's reasons for those that are deemed necessary by the district policy, but they are considered absences in state reporting and count toward student absence totals. All right. School excused absence are bereavement, documented medical appointments, documented quarterly legal appointments, religious holidays, college visits, other extenuating circumstances as approved by school administration. It's basic stuff. We do that all the time. And that doesn't tend to be the big problem. We just want to recognize that the state considers those absences as well. The unexcused absences are everything else, right? Even if a parent calls in and says Johnny's absent today, well, it's still an unexcused absence, you know, and sometimes parents unfortunately conclude that that's an excused absence because they call. It's a recognized absence is really a better way to characterize it. So, some things that we're gonna be doing, some things we've done and some things we're gonna change. We've done this last year, but we're gonna continue to, on a bi-weekly basis, have the school administration review a list of students with more than 5 absences. 5 unexcused absences in the semester, all right? So we're gonna do that bi-weekly, we create a list, we run a report, and we just keep adding names, and then from there, we add on the kinds of supports that we're putting in place, the outreach, all that sort of thing, okay? With all the columns across that spreadsheet. A new thing that we're gonna be doing is, we're going to, although the student support team has been involved, we're gonna further involve them in this process. To track students who are in danger of being chronically absent, so that we may, through that team as well, come up with supports that we can provide for these students. Here's where the bigger part comes in. Chronic absenteeism. Students with chronic absenteeism from a course or courses as defined by Massachusetts state law will not receive credit for the course. This is a very common practice. You'll find this at almost every school across Berkshire County. However, we don't want to deny kids credit, right? We want to offer them credit. We want to make sure that they attain credit. So we want to have some safety nets for them, right? But just to clarify that, chronic absenteeism by the state, 10%, 18 days across the school year, 180 days. We're going a little higher than that. We're going to go with students with 10 or more absences in a semester and 20 or more absences in a full year, so just a little bit more than the state allots for. Students at risk of not receiving credit for a course due to chronic absenteeism will automatically enter an appeal process through the student support team. Christopher is chronically absent. We put his name in front of them. The student support team discusses this at length and uncovers all the reasons why this is happening. Undoubtedly, among this very rich team, there's knowledge as to the circumstances for the child and the family. Particular consideration will be given to students with special circumstances such as social emotional issues and actively seeking help via a professional. Excused absences as per school policy. Other challenges and hardships as determined by the student support team. All right, again, we're not here to try and take away credit from kids. What we're trying to say is we're really serious about this and we're trying to do our job, but we're also trying to help you. So we want to have that. It's one safety net. Another one is that at the end of the first semester, we're going to review the students who have not received credit. And if they meet the criteria for credit recovery, we will offer that to them during the second semester. So that's a little bit of a change. We've been offering credit recovery at the end of the year for the first 2 weeks of the summer. But we figure it's better to get it implemented during the school year when kids are still in these classes and all that sort of thing. Or if they just finished the class, why are we waiting? If it's semesterized class, why are we waiting another semester to do it?
Christopher,
Yes, sir.
can I ask you a question?
Yeah, please.
About the student support team meeting regularly to assess obviously students at risk.
Yes, exactly.
What do they actually do? Do they erase the absences?
No, we wouldn't erase the absences. That's just really would be an administrative action. You know, that would be, you know, in other schools that I've worked in, you know, it's been automatic through the system that their credit is revoked. But it's just an administrative action, like, for example, me filling out a form and saying, no, we'd like to continue to have this credit in place for this child. Okay? Because we don't have that in place, then we wouldn't remove it. Does that make sense? Because we don't have an automatic credit removal in place, we just wouldn't do that in this case, right? Again, it's not something we want to do. Of course, we don't want to do that. We're in the business of shaking hands when they walk across the stage tangling. That's what we want to do. And, you know, all praise to our counselors and everybody else who got so many kids across the stage at the end of the year. But what the student support team does is, again, you have all the guidance counselors there. You have our clinicians, our psychologists, our, what's Alyssa Sorrentino's position?
She's a behavior.
Interventionist.
Yeah.
She's there, administrators. I think that's everybody. So there's a lot of knowledge about the kids. And because we're in a small community, that's also an asset, right? Everybody knows about well, those people know what's going on in the lives of these children. They've already been involved. It's not like the first time they heard the child's name. So they may be reaching out to outside services. We just connected with a group that it's a new name to me, Berkshire Community Care Coalition, maybe it is, or something like that. It's a bunch of C's at the end of it. And they're connected with mental health services, they're connected with local pediatricians. And so by having, you know, those sort of tentacles out there connected with those different organizations, maybe we can get that mental health professional. Maybe there's something going on with the child medically, health wise, you know, not mental health, but health otherwise. Maybe if a child's under 16 and it is just, you know, a family situation they're not attending, then we, you know, address it through the courts as necessary. Those kinds of things. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay. But, you know, but it's a really caring and supportive group. That's the whole intention of it. Looking at kids who are having real issues, you know, and seeing what we can do to help them. But they also come up with all kinds of ideas, you know, anything under the sun that we can think of that we can do to help. Oh, I noticed that they're doing such and such. Maybe Johnny needs this with that teacher who they're really connected with in order to get them here every day on time or whatever the case may be. So those kinds of things happen routinely as well. Just thinking, what in the world can we do to support this child and get them here every day? I hope that helps clarify the picture.
Well, we're pause for a moment. Can you talk about what credit recovery is, what it involves?
Yeah, credit recovery is, it's really a narrow window, actually. Credit recovery is offered to students who have a 60 in a course. you may know, or you may not, that you have to have a 65 in our courses in order to pass. So you're only eligible for credit recovery if you have a 60, okay? Students, who have below a 60 in, oh boy, I don't have a parachute to help me out on this. I think it's in the semester, get an automatic 50. But they can't get that in the second semester. You're familiar with that? It's been in place long before I got here.
Yes,
Which,
in the old days, it was, the lowest you could get was a 55,
yeah, now it's 50.
but now it's a 50, and the second term it was 0, you could get a 0.
So that helps sort of, if you say, wow, only 60 to 65, that seems like a really narrow window. Okay, sure, it does. On the other hand, if you were gifted a 50 in the first semester, then really you get a 70 and you're there for the year course, if you follow me. So I believe, you know, we can always revisit it, but I believe that it's reasonable. So to answer your question, 60 to 64, you're eligible for credit recovery. And Danilo runs credit recovery in collaboration with the teacher of that course. The teacher designs a set of things that the student needs to accomplish to show whatever skills or knowledge it is that the teacher feels is the gap. And it's always very reasonable. The teacher and Ann work well together, and they work with Ann to take care of that stuff and get submitted, graded, and a grade exchange.
So the question is, student, and some of these students are very smart, student has a 70 average, let's say,
Yeah.
but has missed 25% of the courses that semester. What do you do then?
Then they're going into that appeal process, right? And this is the problem we've been having. Actually, now, I wouldn't say that this is 50% of the problem, but even if it's 5% of the problem, you know, if we could change 5%, now you're from 35 down to 25, or 30 down to 25, right? For that chronic absenteeism rate, but the kids know, and the kids, they've gotten more savvy about this since COVID, when many schools had gotten more lenient grading policies in order to support kids. And I think many schools are realizing we got too lenient because the kids are taking advantage. Not all kids, some percentage that we need to try and shift back. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to share a few examples again, that have been in the handbook. Unexcused absences are include but are not limited to family vacations, missing school by choice. This one I really like. This is in the handbook right here. Activities that should be conducted outside of the school day, such as hair appointments, shopping, sleeping, doing homework, etc. And this one's a tough one, but it happens. Activities more appropriately related to the parent guardian, such as providing care for siblings, due to parent, blah, 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 you know?
Hey,
So,
let me ask a question,
Yeah.
please. I'm deeply empathetic to this problem because it's not just in
that's so,
schools, it's in the workforce.
Okay.
And I just, the ease with which people call out is astonishing to me. So I feel like they are, unfortunately, these are bad habits that are gonna just go forward.
agreed.
I mean, is there any way to hold the parents where appropriate responsible?
Only if the child is under 16.
Okay.
So that's the only time you can get court involved.
Mhm.
And let's say, for example, you have a child who's gonna turn 16 in 2 months. And if you try to petition the courts with a chins, all of a sudden I'm gonna get my language, is it still a chins?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Then they'll either deny it or they'll accept it for 2 months, but you won't get anything in place in 2 months, you know? So as school administrators in high school, we have to really pay attention to which kids, if you fall in that category, how old are you? And let's get on it right away so that we can, it's not about getting the courts involved in a family's life, it's about showing that we're serious about this, and the courts, all they do at the initial for 6 months, for a year, is just say, hey, we'd like you to access these supports, these community supports, and if you do so, then you can, and you improve the behavior, then you're off it, you know? So that's really all we have. Beyond that, we don't have any leverage with the parents when there's a chronic absent child.
But I would assume that in between, from the time that you recognize a student's got chronic absenteeism and the courts, you call the parents in and try to have a discussion.
For sure. So I'll get to that next, okay? If I can?
Yeah, please.
Good. All right, so our intention with these changes is purely from a support perspective. Chronic absenteeism negatively impacts success in school and beyond, as per your comment just now. And it's important that we meet our obligation as a school to have our students in attendance as much as possible, so that we may teach and develop the habits and skills which are crucial components to success in school and beyond. So to your point, Steve, what do? Daily attendance communication. Personalized and frequent communication with parents and guardians of children who are chronically absent. So we're looking at that report saying who has 5. Okay, Mr. Lerzio's on the phone, calling them, we're sending a letter, can we get you in for a meeting? That's the kind of stuff we started acting right away. If it makes more sense through SST to have one of the members of SST meet with them or also present, then that's what we do. Whatever the idea under the sun that we can try and turn this around, we're open to it. But the letters, the communication, Steve, and the phone calls will continue to happen at certain intervals. At a certain point, when it becomes chronically absent, let's say it's at that number 10 in a semester, and we're not even through the semester, then we will rather try to demand that a parent come in for a meeting. And
do they?
most of the time.
But I would imagine there are instances where the parents are just not paying attention.
Right. Or, yes, or other reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, but. You know, I don't have any studies at my fingertips to say that, chronic absenteeism will lead to, a lack of success beyond school, but we all know it's true. Other sports, I spoke to sports design. I use the word design because it's what we can come up with through the student support team, for creative minds, and also through the kinds of things that we always do. Parent meetings, enlisting a staff member, taking on a particular child with circumstances that are close to that staff member, enlisting outside organizations to support students and families, creative scheduling, and again, credit recovery where applicable. Okay.
Questions?
On step 2, Christopher.
Yes, sir.
8 absences in an academic semester. In the large italics, is buyback hours on Saturday mornings and or during vacation weeks may be assigned.
That's language.
Okay, well, that's,
That was in the 25?
yeah.
Okay, so I should list that as a change,
Oh, okay,
because
yeah,
that wasn't in place this year.
okay. No, I just had a question. It was actually, how would that be done? And, since I'm on the finance committee, does that, is that a teacher or, it's almost like that movie,
Breakfast Club.
yes.
We all love it so much, yeah.
I would think
Every day.
So that shouldn't be in this, then.
No, it shouldn't, and so I'll put buyback time removed from handbook in my notes.
Okay.
On the slideshow that I share with you all, but let me speak to that for a minute, Bill. You all are aware of what has been called seat time. Right, if you're not in attendance or you're not in your seat X amount of percentage of the time, then you lose credit. By offering that seat time without, let me recap that. By offering time in school without having the teacher or teachers present to provide the instruction, it's just a detention, right? Does that make sense? I have real mixed feelings about that, which is one reason that I wouldn't be pushing that at this time. I'm conflicted about it. In some ways, it seems like a reasonable response, in others, it seems like a meaningless time. So, I'll just say that.
Can I ask Jake a question about if this in the middle school level is as bad?
You're gonna talk about the middle school?
It's.
Have you planned on it?
I can, if you don't mind, it's 28 point something as a district.
Oy.
So it's 30.9 at the high school in 2024
Mhm.
and 28.8 or something like that as a district.
And how does that compare with schools in Berkshire County, other schools?
So, one school that we have, I've had some friends at in administration, and I knew they were doing better was Wacoma. Okay, all this is public, it's on the website, so Wacoma was at 20% of chronic absenteeism. Well, I don't think that's amazing, but on the other hand, it's 10 points less than ours, So we met with them and we talked to them about all the things that they do, and honestly, we took some of their procedures. When we started to look at other handbooks around the county, that's when we saw this loss of credit is all over the place. And it's based on the chronic absenteeism percentage, so the short answer is that, you know, all I have is one sample size, it's all I can remember right now is Wacona's at 20 and we're at 30.
Yeah.
Which, is a lot of days and kids.
Yeah.
So I have to assume that the kids who have chronic absenteeism cannot continue to participate in after-school activities,
We're also bolstering that, yes, for sure.
because that's MIA rules also,
Yes.
correct?
Yes, we're ensuring that that is very clear. And I want to say that with these changes, obviously I need to be here in front of you all first, right? But you can count on it that this will be going out to the community in all sorts of ways. Starting as early as tomorrow, but no later than Monday, and then repeated right before school starts and repeated after that, and doing our best to just make sure everybody's real clear on this. So,
And the 30%, approximately 30%. Do you, I know you've only been here for a year, but has that trended upwards probably since COVID? I mean, COVID is the great
starter of bigger problems.
yeah,
Yes,
and we haven't, here's an indication that we haven't really recovered from it.
we have.
It's terrible.
And that's where, again, you know, I said to Sarah that we changed, not we as in monument, but we as the schools changed the way we operate to become more supportive and, I'm missing the word, but patient with kids around all things related to attendance, grading, all the stuff in order to support them because of COVID. But then we find that we went too far and now look where we are.
It's interesting, it's kind of the polar opposite of what's going on in elite colleges. Where everybody in the graduating class at Harvard graduates with an A. The average grade for the entire class for 4 years is A or A plus. Nobody gets C's anymore at Harvard or Princeton or Stanford or any of the other elite schools because grade inflation for their own reasons that I'm sure we could write books about has taken hold.
Yeah.
And it's not doing students any good.
I think that is the situation in high schools is that.
Yeah.
I mean, just from
To some
my
degree.
own experience, that's a very broad thing, just gonna tell you my own experience.
Yeah,
and that is-
okay.
It's interesting, one, you answered your own question, why we wanted you here, separate from the handbook. This is a problem that you and Jake have talked about almost every time under thorns. And we need to wrestle with this problem. And my other prediction is, when we finally get this a little bit under control, it's probably gonna affect graduation rate. Cause some kids are just gonna say, you know, we're gonna have to have that fine line, cause some kids are gonna say, I just don't wanna deal with all this.
Right.
And, but it's the right thing to do, to get them in class, where we can not only get educated, but they can get help.
Yeah, and yeah, it may, I'm certainly someone I thought of as well.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, there may be a day when I'm sitting here and saying, yeah, the graduation rate, but the chronic absenteeism, you know, just trying to balance it and
Yeah.
continue forward and improve.
But 30% crazy high, which I don't think 5-7 years ago, we would have ever thought that we would have a chronic absenteeism rate of 30%. It's just, that's completely.
In some cases with insane numbers of absences.
And is
60.
there any correlation between chronic absenteeism and students with who don't have English as their first language?
Yeah,
I would have thought so.
yes, there are, you know, other challenges in these, the lives of these children and families.
Sure.
Right? One of which is work and supporting a family, right? And sometimes the children in these families are expected to help support the family. I don't want to in any way disparage anything related to these families, but it is, and you know, a complicating factor, Bill, was obviously what began happening with ICE.
Oh, sure.
You know, and so that's something that we all try to message in a very supportive manner and reach out to all of our constituents who have, you know, real relationships with these kids to tell them, listen, you know, school's actually a safe place to be, we're gonna protect you here. So please, please be here, but, that won't help, that's for sure.
When you look at it, I've thought about this. If you were in another country and you didn't speak the language and you went to school, that's enough pressure to begin with.
Right.
And then add everything else onto it. It's gotta be tough to, you just wanna stay home sometimes, not only when you have to, because you have to work or take care of your parents or whatever, but just because it's such a foreign environment.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyone have any other questions or comments?
Let me just say, I think that the loss of credit is gonna get kids' attention.
Oh, so,
That's a change,
oh, so.
and that's a serious change.
Well, they don't wanna go 5 or 6 years to high school, so if they really wanna graduate, 4 years will be enough for them.
And I think, I talked to a kid who graduated who was, he was highlighted in the profile, the Drucker student, who's got his own business.
Yeah.
And who was mowing the lawn across the street from me. So I went over and I talked to him. And I said, you know, it was really good, you know, it was a wonderful article. And I said to him, it was, because he didn't like classroom. He wasn't a classroom kid.
Right.
And I said to him, it's really good that you stuck it out. And he said, well, with the help of Kristinello and some others, yeah, he said, it's really important to have high school diploma. I think kids see that later. In my teaching experience, I had people in their 25, 30 range asking me if I could help them with the GRE, because they were going back to get a graduate the GED.
Yeah.
You know, I said the requirements have changed. I mean, it got tougher, but I still think this loss of credit is gonna.
Okay,
I hope it cuts into it in
I
some
hope it
ways.
is part of the intention, but we do need to, one way or another, we do need to take this more seriously. We need to enforce some rules more seriously so that we can, hopefully, in the end, have kids who are more successful.
And unfortunately, the courts, the juvenile, I don't know how many we used to, I can't remember what we used to call them. Probation, not probation officers. But, you know, there was like only one for Berkshire County, for South Berkshire. Ted Collins' father was famous. Paul Collins was a famous probation officer. Pardon?
A truant officer?
Yeah.
The probation is
Probation.
generally what
He
we
would
call
go
it.
around, his bailiwick was South Berkshire.
Yeah.
He would literally go, you know, go to kids' houses.
Right.
You know, come on. So, okay.
Okay, so any other questions on absenteeism? Let's go right, if not, let's go right into the handbooks.
Yeah.
So is it okay if I continue?
Yes, please.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's fine.
So there's two other areas for handbook changes, at Monument, and one should know the next one sort of relates in a way to, absenteeism. Is great. Again, I think I mentioned a couple times, the leniency, that has been, practiced post-COVID to support kids, in a variety of ways. Grading has been one of them, and one of the things that combined with proficiency grading, which aims to have students show that they're proficient at a skill, right? So you don't want to say, Sarah, here's your one chance and you're done, you know? On the other hand, what we had been exercising was a lot of chances over a lot of time, and so that's the skill that we just worked on 2 months ago, and I'm still like, I can't keep up with that, keep up with anyone right now, and we heard, sorry, I'm gonna back up a little bit and say that all these changes have been, discussed, with all the teachers, okay? The administration decided on the exact changes, but we heard from all the teachers about challenges, and we heard from them about some ideas for solutions that they had, okay? In small groups and then in large group faculty. So what we had heard was that this late submission of work had just become so overwhelming for them that it was impossible. And again, some students were gaming the system where they would have a certain amount, if they were absent on the day of the test, they had a certain amount of time before they had to take that test. And then they had another certain amount of time to do revisions on it. So that's sort of a bigger picture of the problem that was occurring. We continue to have 3 grading categories that are weighted within the ranges below. Up through last year, we had summative assessments were worth 70% of your grade, period. The other 30% was divided between habits of work and formative assessments.
Again, through a lot of feedback from teachers, we've reduced that. Summative assessments are now 50%. Habits of work, formative assessments, each can be up to 25%. Okay, well, they're gonna be 25, up to 25%. You can move the summatives up, but we don't recommend, all right? Can I keep going?
Yes, please.
Okay, late submission of assignments will be managed by teachers with a percent reduction. I think that's pretty standard. That was standard when I was in school. You find that most places. Teachers will craft their own procedures around late work, which will include percent reduction not to exceed 35%. Again, the 35% is in line with the 65% capacity. So we just wanted to line that up so that kids still have an opportunity to pass. And the teachers will clearly communicate this in their syllabi with students, families, and liaisons. Evidence of a rationale for being sick, family crisis, personal issue is needed to turn in work that was due during a student absence. Generally, teachers are good with that. Christopher was sick yesterday. Christopher comes in, he looked terrible before he comes in today. Yeah, I don't feel well, but okay, yeah, you know, it's vast majority of the time, we're sort of aware of what's going on and there's no problems. Any problems that may arise will certainly come to the teacher. They may want to talk to us, but we'll figure it out. So we leave a little bit of wiggle room there for the teachers. What I said was, evidence of this, the rationale for sickness is needed to turn work that was due during a student absence. Any work due during a student absence must be turned in by the date of the student's return. You're absent on Tuesday, you were here on Monday, you're absent on Tuesday, you gotta give the work on Wednesday. That's sort of common sense, right? If you don't turn it in on Wednesday, again, we go back to that late submission of work and percent reduction. And so that's a change. We're saying the day you return, all right? And then otherwise, it falls into that late submission protocol. Assessments administered during a student absence must be taken at the earliest convenient time based on the teacher and student's schedule. In the past, they said within a certain period of time, I think it was 2 weeks, but I can't remember. Again, that seems like an excessive period of time. And, you know, when I was in school, and I feel like the places I've worked, it's been a common practice. Christopher was absent yesterday. Christopher comes in, talks to Mrs. Jones. Mrs. Jones, wait, well, I'm free 6th period, you know, when do you ever study it, you know, that kind of thing. You just set it up and it just works. But it's not 2 weeks from now. Doesn't make any sense. So that's the change we made there. Okay. Can I keep going? The revisions, this is just sort of a statement that was already there that I'll just repeat, and then there's one change at the bottom. Revisions on formative and summative assessments are often part of a proficiency-based system. It continues to be for us. Teachers will permit revisions. At Monument, we encourage all teachers to allow students to revise their work. When teachers offer students the opportunity to make revisions to assignments to improve their grade, our new change is again, not 2 weeks. It must be completed no later than 2 days after receiving the grade. If I test back today, the teacher says you're permitted to do revisions. I need to have the revisions by today, Thursday, Monday, okay? Seems very reasonable, otherwise everybody's forgetting, these are turning in late, it just snowballs up to another thing to be heard. We're not trying to be tight about these things, it's been too loose. And these are also, y'all, no, these are regular expectations that you see in life. You don't get to do it 2 weeks from now, let's get it done. Teachers will choose at least one of the options listed below around revision and retakes and clearly communicated in their syllabi with students and families. Students can revise formative and summative assessments, that's one option. Students can only revise summative if all teachers specified formative are completed. And then the final option is students can revise an assessment for a teacher determined maximum grade. Okay. Those three pieces are still the same. The only thing that changed out of this last slide that I read to you was instead of 2 weeks, 2 days to make any revisions. All right? We good to keep going? Yeah. My final piece, sorry, Jake, this is taking a while, is honors designation. Honors designation has not had quite the explicit procedures around it that we really need for student success. And so we're making some changes to that as well.
I'll just read about honors designation, in spite of the fact that you all have heard a lot about it, I'll just read it as a preface anyway. Some courses provide the opportunity to earn honors designation. In these courses, all students will be invited to do more complex tasks and dig deeper into the curriculum by opting into the honors course. These honors tasks will directly relate to the content of the unit with the intention of providing all students with more rigorous learning opportunities. Grades for honors courses will receive a 1.1 weighted GPA calculation, so that's the preface. Students will need to indicate if they would like to be challenged with honors designation by the end of the add drop period. That's new. Okay. In the past, students were permitted to opt in until I think the end of the first quarter. And I run across a lot of circumstances with parents and children where it's just not clear. So the aim here is to really clear this up and also have strict procedures around it. Why the add drop? Because that's the way things work in high schools. You change courses by add drop. You know, that's the way it works. So why not have this also follow the test?
And when is that? I mean, how?
I think it's 5 days or 8 days, sometimes it's 10 days, whatever. Okay, I'm sorry, I can't remember. I should know that off the top of my head.
Much better than the first one.
Yeah. If there's a case that, Mr. Fields comes to me and says, Christopher, I got this kid, I know it's well past the add drop period, but, they're really blah, 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 and they've been doing such a thing, can we do it? Of course, we can always say, we can always support kids in that way, that's not a problem. We also need to have rules that we most often abide. Honors designation, as you know, will require additional work. Students' class will be reflected as honors in Power School, that's also a change. What happened was they got this, there was a note in the comments that said this child is on track for honors designation. And then at the end of the year, the note said, the comment said, child has received honors designation. Nope, you're gonna be in the honors class. Here's our class. We got 3 people in honors. That's the way it's gonna work, okay? Their grade will be determined based on their performance on all assignments. So if you have your regular assignments for the regular part of the class, and you have an additional 4 hefty assignments that lead to honors designation, you opted into honors designation, you opted into that honors class, you must complete those assignments, and the grade you receive is based on an honors class. Okay. For each unit and quarter, teacher will provide explicit instructions for what additional work is required for honors designation. It'll be specified work and not an array with options. Anytime during the first semester, student may opt out of honors designation, at which time they will be entered in the standard level course. That's also a typical practice that you find in a school that has honors classes and standard level classes, so I think that's also fair. So those are changes for honors designation. Any questions about that?
All good.
Yeah.
I hope so, I think so,
This communication is gonna be the key point, and I'm sure you're gonna handle this very well so that everyone knows going into
That
school.
would be my intention.
Yeah, they all understand that there's no confusion.
Again, this is something that I wanted to bring to you all first. Just to get it cleared and then move forward with our staff in the community.
Good.
All right, that's all I have. Any other questions or comments?
I know.
All right.
At the end, after Jake's done, we'll vote on the handbooks.
Yeah.
Well, we vote to approve the handbook, so we'll do that at the end.
All right, thank you so much.
Sorry.
Well, Jake.
Thank you.
Sarah, to answer your question, our chronic absentee numbers are not that different than high school.
Okay,
You were very right. With, our approach is with middle school kids, a lot of times it's much, we work with the students, but we really go directly to the parents.
Okay.
If a 12-year-old's not at school or a 10-year-old's not at school, that's a function of really what's happening at home. And it's a part of our weekly agendas for our student support teams, and nonetheless, it's problematic.
yeah.
It's problematic, yeah, and you're absolutely correct, it doesn't stop at graduation, it's. It's a grown-up world too. Our handbook, we did a lot of cleanup this summer and made a lot of corrections. Really, the only substantive change, I ran the notion of no hats or hoods or head coverings up the flagpole. That flag did not fly long. So anyway, I took my year-old funny Betty in stride and moved on to things that were winners. We did on page 19, really the primary thing that we felt we had to address at some length, artificial intelligence use. And that is a tool that students, I found over the course of this year, we had a number of students who are much better informed about the power and promise of AI than their principal was. And our librarian, Jennifer Guerin, has been really on top of that, and we have some educational and informational opportunities for parents that are gonna be offered this year, as well as some, weaving in also social media and its uses and abuses among early adolescents and pre-adolescents. But we really dedicated almost a full page of the handbook to just helping our families understand what generative AI is, what it isn't, what the risks and ethical considerations are in, I think in some ways, most importantly, the ways that it can appropriately be used at Du Bois for academic purposes. And that's the changes.
And I'm glad you did. I've talked to Peter that the policy committee is behind. We need to meet and we need to have a district-wide policy on AI.
Yeah, I would guess you and 300 other school districts in the Commonwealth, because it just is,
And when you make a policy, be ready to change it next month.
that's the challenge.
It's gonna be written pencil.
Yeah, to keep up with, the changes is, and I'm on a board of a financial institution locally, same thing. It's like, what do we do? How do we keep up and maybe stay ahead of, for security purposes, if nothing else?
I'm not hitting that we're behind. It's just, it's all coming so fast.
Yeah.
It is, and it's kind of the Wild West. I mean, without really much oversight or regulation from the federal government or the state government or any of the bodies that generally oversee these kind of things. You have just institutions and organizations really on their own to deal with it. Our teachers, Jennifer, thanks to Jennifer, it's not the vision of the principal for sure, but thanks to Jennifer, we spent a lot of time with this year, and we'll be looking for resources to really, make sure that our students are engaging in academics in ways that preserve their character and their integrity, but really just using it as an educational opportunity that just because it is there does not mean it's correct, or does not mean that it's appropriate, or that it's vetted by anybody other than a logarithm. And so really, part of our policy is asking teachers to really, in every course, provides an opportunity for this to address the way it can show up in their academic area or their exploratory area.
Jake, can I ask, are you also discussing I don't know. I use AI all the time. I think it's like an amazing tool.
Yeah.
It certainly has its downsides, I use it every single day.
Yeah.
And one of the tricks that I think young people would be especially vulnerable to is that it reinforces everything you say.
Yeah.
What a great question.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you're so smart, and it almost creates a relationship. I mean, are you talking about that sort of social?
That's the social piece for our end, the academic integrity piece is always important. For where we're meeting kids, that social piece is crucial. And part of what we're gonna be discussing with families this year is just, there's that social piece of AI, there's also everything you're feeding into AI is going in to feed not only AI writ large, but inform the kind of YouTube videos that are going to be put in your feed and the kind of TikToks that are going to be put into your feed. And that it is I think there's some researchers that would say there's a really natural and organic bent to all of these logarithms to understand that controversy locks eyeballs onto screens like nothing else. And so the logarithms are geared to the most kind of preposterous, fringy things.
Right.
Your notion of the like understanding interactivity between you and a tool that can be useful.
Because it will treat you like a friend.
And mistaking that
Yeah.
for friendship
Yeah.
or actual interaction, that's one I think we need to maybe dive a little deeper into.
I mean, I found myself saying like, thank you very much. I was like, what am I doing?
We're polite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fascinating point, a little bit of a scary point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Any questions of Jake? Any questions on any of the handbooks? There was a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, thanks, yeah. Anyone? I don't see any hands. So do I have a motion to accept? Approve the 3 school handbooks?
So moved.
As revised.
As revised with the.
Well, the ones that were presented to us were revised, yeah.
Well, even further resolved.
Yes,
Right.
yeah, that's true.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay, so Bill Vogt made the motion and Bill Fields second. Any questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none. Roll call, Sarah, Allison,
Yes.
Jason,
Aye.
Bill. Diana, can you hear us?
Yes.
Perfect. And I, so it is unanimous. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah.
Okay, Carl, we're finally here. Sorry it took so long. Requested approval of overnight field trip. The high school cross-country team to Falmouth, Mass on October 12th. Carl, I don't know what you were told by Peter, but do you want to talk just for a second?
Well, just looking at some of the questions that came back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I started, or that's sort of the way we characterize it. As soon as I got all those questions from the committee, I forwarded them on to Carl and to, Scott. And
Perfect.
Scott responded right away, and Carl gave me help out with that.
Yeah, so I know the,
Just 1 second. Scott's on the line and
Yep.
Scott, you can just unmute yourself. I will. There you go. Great.
you know, if Scott's here, I'm happy to let him speak, because I'm sure he would, but I know the funding was a question, Booster Club funded. Transportation, we're looking at our vans. We're looking at one night, overnight in a hotel. The next day is a school holiday, so there's no missed school. And I was talking to Jake, I know that they do an overnight, we're bringing middle school kids, that was one of the questions as well, but I know they do an overnight trip in grade 8, so we could. Communicate with Jake's team and see how they best do that with the middle school kids in a hotel room, because that's a slight concern. But I think those were the major questions that I remember. Scott, am I missing anything?
Well, I'm glad to be able to join in here. I can't see myself. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so, first of all, it's an exciting, opportunity that we have. This Twilight Race has been happening, for many years. Local teams, Mount Greylock and Lennox have gone as many years as I can remember and have always intrigued me with our movement up the ladder and doing well, placing 6th in our state division last year. I was looking for an extra opportunity to see these young people get excited about running the course. Last year, we wanted to do it but it was on a Jewish holiday. And so I said, if I can't bring the whole team, I was going to do it. We had one young man run it last year in Twilight, and I had two of my top runners go and run it. So I thought it was a great opportunity. It is no conflicts. And yes, I believe in togetherness. I believe that if these young people start as part of our team, they should have the opportunity to do that. In the past, I've been coaching forever. I've had road trips to North Reading, to the Cape for softball, to Brown University for overnight stays cross country. This one I can understand. 7th and 8th graders, 12 and 13-year-olds going. I'm going to need more chaperones. I'm going to need female chaperones. My assistant coach Morgan is a female. Possibly I can convince my wife, but more, and I have others who wanting to go. I have to remember to get permission slips, get their insurance information just in case. And I try, because I knew that you needed a little bit more lead time. The race is October 12th. And so I wanted to get that on the table to hear the different discussions. Cost, certainly Booster Club, though I know that came up last time as far as collective Booster Club. Our Booster Club, since I took over the girls, we do a marathon and raise some money and have some money in the bank. We'll need to do more of that to get our full goal and do what we want to do, but I do want to put some emphasis on the young ladies to do more of that. So cost-wise, certainly we'd look at, and I've already talked to a travel agent and have reserved 8 rooms, no cost right now, to be able to work through that. And I think it's an exciting opportunity. I can understand 12-year-old compared to an 18-year-old, there is differences, but I want to tell you, I have amazing young people who lead this program and do really good stuff to be able to have that. Transportation, talked to Carl today that the vans will be available. I really hope, that they can be inspected fully because it is a much longer road trip. And if I'm going to be driving a van, I've driven it to Springfield in the past for swimming. Just to go the distance for those two, certainly we'd have to look at that. But ultimately, it's the application fee, which I believe is around $300. We haven't been able to register yet, but I wanted to come to this and see if school committee would be in favor of it. You guys are the ultimate people to have this. I always find these trips can not only excite the sport, excite young people, but brings a team closer together for that. I did look at a hotel that has a pool and that has breakfast, and those are always good bonding opportunities. One of the other situations was finances, that I would require the runners to bring money for extra food or sweatshirts or anything like that. But I would never, and honestly, I always say this, never would that be an issue. I would have a parent or student say, look, this is a financial hardship to that, and anonymously, and I would go to the Booster Club or I would pay for it from my own pocket. I don't want money to ever be a factor. And I do remember on one of our softball trips to the Cape, the parent reached out to me and said, look, money is really tight right now. I said, no problem. We got you covered. And I know that that's always Berkshire Hills philosophy. We don't want anyone to lose an opportunity because of finances. Now, it also comes that a parent may say, and that could be a parent of anyone, 7 through 12, say, I really don't want my daughter to go to this. And of course, that's their choice as well. And we'd have to be open next Monday is our parent meeting. I'll get to speak about the trip. And it'll be ultimately their choice to be able to take that opportunity, which I think is a really viable one. And I always like to give opportunities. Last year I wanted to do this, but didn't because of a Jewish holiday. And if I couldn't take the whole team, we weren't going as a team. So I don't know. I hope I answered all your questions. I know Rich, from my understanding, had a lot of concerns about middle schoolers, but they are part of the team. And they, at that point in time, would almost be 2 months in. And I certainly hope that they would feel confident and comfortable in doing that. But that's also choices of parents, and it's easy opt out. So, yeah.
Let's see if we have questions. Anybody have any questions? Yeah, Bill, go ahead.
What about insurance? If there were a terrible tragedy and the hotels would be blown. Very unlikely that something awful happened. Is the school district insured against things like that?
Yeah, we are. We have Maya Insurance. Sharon probably knows about it
Liability insurance.
better than anyone, yes.
And we also have a student catastrophic accident.
Are they just wired by Nessie or do we just do it because it's the right thing to do?
Oh, no, we have to have
Yeah.
insurance.
I just thought, is the insurance the minimum required by law or regulation, or have we enhanced it in any way?
You know, I meet with a insurance agent every year and we look at our levels and ensure that the coverage is perfect.
Other questions, comments?
There have been other overnights because of tournaments. I believe volleyball had to go a long way. Maybe Martha's Vineyard, Carl, if I'm not correct. And they had to do some staying overnight and stuff like that. So I'm sure, listen, we have to look at all angles. That's why I had to rethink today. And I said, oh, that's how I have insurance numbers from parents. I have permission slips from parents. I have that because it's been a while since I've done something like this. I've done day trips to invitationals and that type of thing. So this is something that logistically, more questions will have to be answered, and I'll have to be the forefront to making sure we got everything, right.
I appreciate that. Interesting comment, everyone knows. It's high school is a little behind youth sports. Youth sports does overnight trips every year.
Oh.
And it's kind of old hat. But high schools, we haven't done it as much. We do some. But, so there's a little more concern to make sure we get it right, which we should. Other questions or comments?
It seems to me that, to Rich's, I'm sorry he's not here tonight, I know he had real misgivings. But the real protection here of the middle schoolers is the parents. If there's any concern that their child is going to be intimidated or something, they can say no, and they should say no. Otherwise, if they say yes, then I think they've made a clear kind of statement that their child is ready for this.
Yeah, one of the advantages of this particular request, and it's a good one that's kind of a first time we've approved it. We've approved Cape Cod trips for the girls' basketball team for years. I don't know if they still, guess they don't do it anymore, but they did. But Carl's been here a long time, Scott's been here a long time. It's not their first rodeo. So I have, confidence in their expertise that they know where the pitfalls are and they know what to be careful of. So I feel more confident in that. So do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to
approve the overnight field trip for the girls cross country team to Falmouth, Mass on October 12th, 2025.
So I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I think I would just like to, I think what's getting lost is to thank Scott and, Carl for, going above and beyond for the kids. I mean, in anything, there's risk reward, any sport in general. To be honest, and Rich had some good points, and he made me think, and after thinking more, I mean, what keeps me up more at night, to be honest, is the international trips that the high school goes on, even the 8th grade trip of almost 100 kids spending a week in Philadelphia. I personally didn't send my middle child when they had it a few years ago because of concerns. The school was great about it, but I mean, I think that's a real possibility, and, I'm fully confident that, Scott, if any parent feels that way, something it won't be, no problem, and, it'll, be completely a non-issue. But again, thanks to him for, on the meager salaries that we pay our coaches, to volunteer his time to go through not just the actual weekend, but as you said, all the hassle of getting the, insurance coverage, permission slips, ultimately for what's best for these kids to give them an experience. So I appreciate, both, Carla and Scott for doing this.
Anyone else?
I want to say something because now I know I'm really old. Jason was on my first field trip to North Reading before a Wayland tournament that I had a bunch of wrestlers stay overnight at my folks' house. And oh my God, that's a long time ago. And I know he remembers it. We had 2 of them that year and we ate very well. So I do remember that. And that's a long, long time ago. So I thank you. And I can't believe I'm still doing it. And this is with, young ladies who the biggest thing that I would take away is their safety is foremost, and we'll have chaperones, and will do my best to make Monument proud in doing that. So that's what I'd like to say. Jason, you remember that well. I think back in 1989, I believe. So, or 88,
Correct.
88 maybe. It was before Christmas. So.
Okay, anyone else? Roll call, Sarah.
Aye.
Allison,
Yes.
Jason,
Aye.
Bill. Aye. Bill,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
and I am a yes, so it's unanimous. Thank you for being
Thanks,
here.
everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Carl.
You bet, guys. Thank you very much.
Take care. Jason, MSBA updates on this one?
No, just that, let's see, the 27th, we are, the district is meeting with the MSBA official to get, their official approval. And that will actually kick off the final home stretch here, between the vote on November 4th. So, I just want to get my dates wrong. Tuesday, September 16th will be our final, informational meeting at the high school. That will update you more in future meetings. And we're also looking at the month of October, setting up now, multiple, forums in the community at the, community centers at the, hopefully all 4, libraries in the 3 towns, et cetera. So we'll update you as that comes along, but, we're gearing up for the big final push here.
We'll be here before we know.
Yes, it will.
Subcommittee reports, policy has not met, buildings and grounds.
Has not met?
Superintendent's evaluation.
We've done our business.
Yeah.
Yes, you have. Finance will be meeting
Next.
next meeting, the 28th of August at 5 p.m. Negotiations is not going to start till after November 4th. You have a small personnel report. We are skipping the new business, which I said about the girls JV soccer waiver. Any public comment? If not, by unanimous consent, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.